I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
Stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
Said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
Well, you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
And the build-up to the thrilling clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Max Kellerman has shared his final opinion on the bout. As part of Netflix's top-tier broadcast crew assembled for this blockbuster boxing event, Kellerman offers his trademark sharp insight and sense of history for what could become one of the sport's defining nights.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Kellerman makes no effort to downplay the scale, calling the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford contest the most watched title fight in nearly half a century. He likens it to Muhammad Ali's famous rematch with Leon Spinks in 1978, which drew an incredible 90 million viewers. He argues that with Netflix streaming the card, this isn't just another big match. It's a shift in boxing's reach and business model, with audience numbers set to surpass normal pay-per-view tallies.
But like, where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
Yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but this will, listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is going to do multiples of that. So, so when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event.
At a recent press conference, promoter Dana White revealed that Kellerman will rejoin the broadcast booth as part of Netflix's commentary crew for the eagerly awaited Canelo vs. Crawford showdown on September 13th, 2025. Kellerman, a veteran voice best known from ESPN and HBO, will team up with John Anik and Hall of Famer Andre Ward to call the action live from Allegiant Stadium. This marks a strong return to televised boxing. He stressed that Alvarez and Crawford rank among the best pound-for-pound fighters of this era. Kellerman added that Crawford might currently hold the top spot, though Alvarez wore that crown until recently, proof of how rare it is for two athletes of this caliber to meet. Historically, he noted, only about 25 to 30 boxers have ever been recognized as true P4P kings, and both men belong in that elite group.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight. but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, a perfect storm. First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. You know, none of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a...
4, according to analyst Tim Bradley. The opening round of Canelo versus Crawford won't be explosive, but more like a precise chess match. He predicts both fighters will initially keep their distance, carefully reading rhythm, timing, and range before engaging. Bradley points out that Crawford has often paced himself in crucial fights, setting clever traps, while Canelo typically spends early rounds studying his opponent and adjusting as the bout unfolds. Bradley advises fans to expect a measured start where both boxers gather data before raising the tempo later.
Feel his punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? And let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is
WBC lightweight champion Shocker Stevenson remains firm in believing Bud Crawford will defeat Canelo and possibly stop him. Stevenson consistently praises Crawford's elite gifts, highlighting his speed, ring intelligence, and switch-hitting stance as decisive factors. He's even warned fans that Crawford might cook Canelo, hinting at a one-sided affair. Stevenson first voiced this view back in 2021 and has repeatedly doubled down, insisting Crawford's precision and adaptability.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. I think that's possible. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud can crack too. So.
August of 2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay? And he's had 8 fights at 147. All knockouts. And 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Majumov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that, because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulked. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulked. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take